Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here today with some foiling and flocked cards that feature no heat, meaning you don't need a laminator or a ink machine or anything like that to add foil to your cardstock. This magic happens with the DecoFoil Transfer Gel Duo two-way use heat or no heat gel medium. So this is the magic that creates all of these great backgrounds. So if you have a die cutting machine, but you don't have a laminator and you have been loving the foil look and you want to be able to create some fun foiled effects for your cards, this is a great product that is much more reasonably priced than a laminator, and I highly suggest giving it a go if you're interested at all. I'm going to use a little PIXIE spray on the back of the Simon Says stamp Tumbling Hearts stencil, and I'm going to apply that over a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 cardstock. This is some red cardstock I'm using here. This is the Hero Arts Hero Hues Cranberry cardstock, and I am applying that DecoFoil transfer gel right over here, and I am using a palette knife. A scraper would be so much easier. I could not find mine, and normally that's what I would use. So next time, so I just used what I had available. So this palette knife worked for that. I am also working on one of these large Simon Says stamp paper pad work surfaces, that grid surface there. What makes this great is I'm able to just kind of lift up the paper then and toss it in between every couple uses or whatever, so that I am not transferring a bunch of the gel that gets on the cardstock onto my next piece of trimmed cardstock. I am using red backgrounds. As I mentioned, that's the Hero Hues Cranberry cardstock, some Lawn Fawn Black Licorice cardstock, and then some heavy 110-pound weight white cardstock. So I'm using this same Tumbling Hearts stencil on all of these 4 by 5 1/4 inch panel backgrounds. That means the background is going to be slightly smaller than an A2 sized card base, meaning that I can very easily add that to a card base and have a nice white border all the way around. So you can see there I was able to easily lift up that cardstock or that panel piece, and then I'm just going to use the next one underneath without having to clean my stencil. I do want to mention, if you are going to be using any of the DecoFoil transfer gel, you will want to clean your stencil with warm water and soap right away. That goes for your palette knife or scraper as well, because this does start drying immediately. Now the directions say to let the transfer gel dry for an hour until it's clear. You can see it's gone on white. It is going to dry to a clear. You're going to see that here in a second. And then your cardstock is ready to have the foil or the flock medium placed on it. You can see that the black and the red still have some drying to do. However, I did take this red cardstock piece that I did at the same time. The others just were not dry yet. And I'm going to put the flock side down and run that through my die cutting machine. Now, I have left this part in my video because I thought it was really important to share. The effects did not turn out great. In fact, I was left, it stuck a little bit. I don't think the transfer gel was all the way dry. Here I'm running it through my machine. I'm going to show you as I peel it up. So this was 1 hour, just 1 hour. And you can see I'm kind of struggling to get that pulled up, and I'm kind of trying to be careful, and it started to pull. And I did not have this trouble with the foil. I did foil one of the white pieces of cardstock and this did not happen, but I was really super upset that this panel did not have great luck. So I thought, well, maybe it's the flocking material, or maybe I didn't let it sit long enough. So what I actually ended up doing was letting all of my panels, I did another red panel, I let that set and dry overnight. And when I came back the next morning, instant, worked so fantastic. So I think maybe I just didn't let it dry long enough. You can see here's an example of the foiling. Running it through the die cutting machine, no special laminator needed. And when I peel this up, I'm going to be left with this awesome summer rainbow kind of DecoFoil look. So, so pretty. You could use this with any stencil that you have. I chose to do all the same stencil for my backgrounds, and I'm just going to switch up some of the embellishments and things on them. So this is the next morning. I wanted to show the flocking again. So we've got the white flock material. We're going to just run that back and forth through the die cutting machine. I did it about 2 or 3 times, I think. And then I'm going to peel it up. And look at how much easier of a time I had peeling away the flocked material. Now that I did have a little over flocking, I'm sure I got some transfer gel there. I'm going to take a sand eraser and kind of erase away some of those little areas where I have some over flocking, over foiling. It will work with either. You can also take a craft knife and kind of move away a little bit of that material if you need to. Either of those things will work, and then you're left with this awesome flocked, textured, custom background. You could do this in any color of flock. ThermWeb has a whole assortment, a whole rainbow of colors, so I highly recommend checking that out. I'm going to go ahead and foil then the rest of my backgrounds. I'm making about 5 backgrounds today. I've got the rainbow foil here because who doesn't love a good rainbow? And then I've got some sparkling silver. I've got some red. We're going to use all of these for our backgrounds. I did the rainbow on black. I absolutely love rainbow foil on black. I don't know what it is, but I think it's just so amazing. I do recommend going just a little slow. If there's any areas that kind of catch a little bit, just push on it with your finger or even run it back through your die cutting machine to add that pressure to apply the foil to the transfer gel. And voila, you have awesome little foiled backgrounds. Here's an example of the red. Love that. And then we will have the sparkling silver as well. So I think I did the summer rainbow, which is kind of more the reds and pinks and orange and yellows. The rainbow, we've got a red background. We've got our white flocked on red cardstock. And our final is going to be the silver sparkling foil on the red cardstock. Now that we have our foiled backgrounds, it's time to put them all together with some really fun Simon Says stamp dies and sentiment strips. So I'm actually doing no stamping today. Everything is foiling, flocking, and die cutting, which I think is really just kind of a fun little twist. I'm using this awesome You Are Loved sentiment. It's got the shadow plus the die cut sentiment phrase there. I die cut the background from white cardstock for the first card, and then the delicate, really thin line You Are Loved. To give that dimension, I had a scrap already of Tonic Studios black mirror cardstock that had been adhered to fun foam, and I die cut the You Are Loved from that, popped it right there on the shadow, and then I glued this with liquid adhesive because I really wanted it to stick to the flocked background. So I used the liquid adhesive and I put an acrylic block on it to hold it flat while the glue dries. And then the sentiment strip is brand new from Simon Says Stamp, and it's from it's called Cheeky Love, which it's all kind of really clever cheeky sayings. This is I met you, I liked you, I love you, so I'm keeping you. And I think that's really funny, and you're going to see that I'm using these sentiment strips from this set all throughout, and you get 4 sheets in the sentiment strip packs. All of them are the same, but they all have loads of sentiments on them, so you can create lots and lots of cards with 1 pack of sentiment strips, which is great if you are wanting to kind of bust out a whole bunch of cards really quickly and easily. You don't have to get inks out, you don't have to get out any of that kind of thing. Line it up. All you have to do is cut them apart and pop them on a card. And I adhered mine with some foam adhesive. Now, I really felt like my card needed just a little something extra. And if you've been around for a while, you know that I have loved the Simon Says Stamp Mini Hearts set dies forever. This die collection has been out probably, I'm not exactly sure, but maybe since the beginning, and it's one of my very favorites. Ever since Simon Says Stamp kind of started with their own line of product, sorry. And so I am simply just going to add some die cut foam hearts to my card. That was just a little red foil cardstock that I also adhered to Fun Foam with stick-it adhesive. And I had die cut that same sentiment twice. That's so I could get the two-tone. The black outline and then the red hearts. And then we're going to use the opposite pieces on one of the other cards. In fact, this card right here. So I wanted to make sure that I used both of those sentiments. None of it goes to waste. And originally I thought I would do it on black, but then I kind of forgot that the hearts are going to be black and they're really not going to be very visible. So I need to do those in a different color. I'm going to be doing my background in white cardstock then with the red foiled sentiment and black hearts. So kind of just the opposite of our last card. Both of them are going to have that white backer. But it was about this point when I started to lay out my foiled sentiment that I realized that on black, you're not going to see the hearts. So we'll just pop that off. I can save that outline for another card another day. Now to make this one pop off of the background more, I really think that I need to add some dimension. And this card, we're going to do a couple of things. First of all, probably my most favorite technique, which is adding a super subtle border, inlay border all the way around to just kind of frame up a background like this, but frame up a sentiment where we don't have a ton of embellishment on these particular card designs. One of my cards today will have some embellishment, but the rest really don't. The focus is the beautiful foiled or flocked backgrounds and then sentiments. So I am using the Simon Says Stamp A2 thin frames to die cut not only my foiled background, so I've die cut that thin frame from this. This is the third largest from this set. And then I've die cut it again from some of that black mirror cardstock that we used for the sentiment and hearts. And then I'm simply going to frame up, or pardon me, add some adhesive to the back of the outside frame. I like to work from the outside in. And we are going to center our frame first. So I'm putting some double-sided adhesive on the back of this. We're going to place this on our white top fold card base, which remember, our backgrounds are all slightly smaller than A2 size, meaning there's going to be a white border all the way around. And then I'm going to remove the backing paper and place the frame on my card first. Any of the cards today that feature this little thin inlay frame, which 3 of them do, this is how I created that. So first goes the outer frame. Then we're going to put a thin line of glue. I like to do a thin line of glue. I feel like that works the best because these are super thin frames. And we're just going to run that right along the edge. I'm using a precision tip on my Ranger Multi-Matte Medium to add the glue. And then I'm going to inlay the frame. And then we're going to put adhesive all the way in the center and place the center panel. Now, make sure you put the center panel in the right way. You want it to be seamless. You're going to see that I put mine in upside down. I actually had to take some undo adhesive remover and remove it because see how my hearts don't line up? Oops. That can happen sometimes. I'm sort of annoyed with myself, but never fear. Off camera, I'm going to grab that undo, I'm going to pop that out and put it in the right way because I took all of the effort in getting that lined up correctly. I definitely want that to be put in the right direction. Then I'm going to put foam adhesive on the back of You Are Loved and pop that up in the center of my rectangle frame. We're also going to put foam adhesive on the back of another Sentiment Strips Cheeky greeting here. This one says, I hate to break it to you, but you are stuck with me. Try to get used to it. I think that is super fun as well. As I mentioned earlier in the video, these are all so cute and clever. Now that I did that, I am going to take a whole bunch of black die cut hearts, kind of like I did for the first one, and we're just going to scatter those around our card. I'm also taking the tip of a craft knife, and there were a couple places where I overfoiled. And it's not really so much overfoiling in the traditional sense of overfoiling, but there was probably some gel medium that was on my cardstock, and when I ran it through the die cutting machine to apply the foil to the gel medium, that it stuck to it. And because of that, I want to make sure and just kind of clean up a couple of those areas with the tip of my craft knife. Now I'm going to take that same Simon Says Stamp Mini Hearts die cut a whole bunch of these little black hearts, this time from some of that leftover black cardstock that's been adhered to fun foam. So I have little dimensional hearts, very, very similar to the first card, with the exception this one has a frame and the first one does not. And then the last thing I'm going to do for these two cards in particular is I'm going to take some little Honeybee Stamps crystal clear gems to adhere to those heart shapes. These are just a really fun little accent where I didn't want to add a whole bunch more, but just a little bling for fun. Oh, sorry about that shake there. I bumped the camera stand. We're going to be adding some additional crystal gems to our final two cards as well today, just kind of in some rainbow colors instead. So just a really fun little blingy accent. Okay, our next background was created just like the last one, although I used that twinkling silver foil on the red cardstock. And this time we're using the Simon Says Stamp Picture Book MOCHA die. We're going to die cut that twice, once from some Lawn Fawn Fog cardstock and then once from that Hero Hues Cranberry cardstock. And then the foam, the whip topping there on our MOCHA is the Cream Off Simon Says Stamp cardstock. I'm using Pinkfresh Studio inks in Rocky Slope for the gray mug, and then Candy Apple for the red mug. And then for the whip on top, that's a little warm buff that we're going to add just a tad bit of color using ink blending brushes to the edges of these. And we're going to stack one mug on top of the other, or inside the other, for these little stacked mugs. This is a really quick and easy accent, and I think it's great for any coffee lovers out there. We're even going to use the I Love You More Than Coffee. That's saying a lot. Cute little cheeky love sentiment strip there underneath. We're doing the inlay design, so we just need to inlay that background, and then we're simply going to assemble this just like the last one. So outer frame first, thin line of glue all the way around. We're going to do a little contrasting thin frame. And really, I think the difference that the frame gives simple cards like this, it really gives them that kind of stepped up look without a ton of extra work. It's probably one of my very favorite things about these thin frames. They also come in several sizes. I wanted to mention there's the A2 sizes frames I'm using today. There's A7 for if you make bigger cards. There's some circle frames as well. So I love that Simon Says Stamp has come out with these different sized thin frames that we can use on all of our projects because, like I said, I just love them. We are going to adhere our sentiment then with foam adhesive. We're going to tuck one mug inside of the other, and then we're going to attach the mugs with foam adhesive as well. I always feel with a background like this that's kind of busy-ish that popping your elements up helps really showcase them a little bit more. Instead of inlaying the eyes in the mugs, they would pop out. They did not when I die cut them, but if I'd pushed them out with like a piercing tool, they would have come right out. But I simply backed them with foam adhesive so they wouldn't go anywhere. And real quick and easy, taking some Nuvo crystal drops in ebony black and covering the eyes with those to give the cute little faces some detail. We'll even take a fine tip black pen and add eyelashes to the red mug. And then I've got some extra little red foam die cut hearts using those mini hearts set. And we're going to adhere those to the top and then a couple down near the bottom to finish off our card design. And that's it. super quick and simple. I did take a white pen, I guess, and I'm going to add in some little highlights to the mugs and some little dots to the whipped topping. But other than that, really quick and easy. That little picture book mug is super, super cute. I love the size of it, and I'd really love to see it. There's like a picture book candy apple and some picture book donuts and things like that that Simon Says Stamp has come out, and I'm kind of excited to maybe do a food themed picture book card. If you guys have any interest in seeing something like that where I combine some picture book dies that are kind of the non-traditional, not the critters, if you would like to see that, drop me a note in the comments down below here and just kind of let me know what you're looking forward to seeing here in 2020. Next, we're going to move on to my final two cards, and these are the more rainbow backgrounds. So the other ones maybe geared more towards Valentine's Day. That was kind of my thought process, or the traditional, more Valentine's type of cards. These definitely can be used for Valentine's as well, but they're a little more non-traditional. We've got the colorful background, we've got the rainbow background on black. And I am really right now just backing front and back panels of Fun Foam with Stick It adhesive. This is how I make the dimensional sentiments. And instead of using the You Are Loved greeting that I used for the first two cards, we're going to use the other option of the You Are Loved dies, and this is the scripty option. It also has a shadow, but I want that to be popped up with Fun Foam too. Just like we did for the first ones, it's just a little bit different kind of font. And we're going to use all Tonic Studios metallic cardstock. I really like the metallic cardstock and how it looks with the foiled backgrounds, especially for these two options. It just kind of worked for whatever reason better. I will say you will notice in the finished card for this white background card that it's actually got a gold metallic shadow. I originally placed this on white and the white did nothing for the card. I really felt like it all just blended together. It didn't look great. It was missing something. I did not do a frame for this background, that inlay frame that I've been doing. Maybe that would have helped. I don't know. I just really didn't like the white backer. So what I ended up doing was taking Undo, removing this, die cutting the background again from the gold metallic. So in the finished card, it's going to have that gold metallic backer. That's the only difference that I made here, but I think it makes a world of difference. Color can really make or break a card, and it completely changes the look of a design. And in this case, switching out to gold from white really just made me like this card so much more. Now for the black cardstock, or the black option for this card, the black backer worked perfectly, but for whatever reason, it was just a little too much white, and I felt like you really didn't get the whole feel of the sentiment when you do this on white. But look how great the foam adhesive sentiment looks on this. Just kind of works slow, but it definitely goes together really, really easy. We're going to use the I love you unconditionally, and then in parentheses, like 80% of the time. I think that's really funny too. All of these are just so clever and funny and make me laugh. And then just popping that up with a little foam adhesive. Now these two final cards, super simple, not a ton of embellishment. I did go back in, and this is where I'm going to add in some of those rainbow crystal gems from Honeybee Stamps to adorn some of the hearts and things in the background for just a little extra bling. The black background does have the little inlay frame. Kind of wish I would have done that on the other one as well, maybe just like a pink or a red metallic. But you know, I didn't. And just to show you different options of what you can create. But I really like that blue on the black. I think it is super, super pretty. Now originally I used a little bit longer sentiment. I did not like how this looked on here, so I popped that off as well. I had a lot of missteps with these cards. I shouldn't maybe call them missteps, changing my mind maybe, where things just don't look quite right, so I switched it. So I switched this out to I Think I'll Keep You, and I like that better. I like how it fit together, works great. We're going to add some of those crystal gems and things. We're going to do that to both of these final cards, and that is going to be it for my cards featuring foiling and flocking without any heat. So if you guys have been loving the look of foiling and you have been wanting to try it, but you don't have a laminator or a heat machine like the Mink or anything like that, I hope you guys will give the DecoFoil Transfer Gel Duo a chance, because you can create some really amazing results and some amazing backgrounds with this product. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this set of 5 cards featuring flocked and foiled backgrounds without heating. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring foiling that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new card making or paper crafting video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I am so grateful you're here. We'll catch you next time.